Have you ever imagined what it would feel like if your heart suddenly betrayed you while you were completely alone? No warning, no one around, just you and the crushing silence of an emergency unfolding in real time. For most people, the thought never crosses their mind until it's too late. We like to believe heart attacks announce themselves with dramatic pain, or that someone nearby will rush in to save us. But the truth is far more unsettling. Many heart attacks begin quietly, and when they strike in solitude, every second becomes a razor-thin line between life and death. The difference between survival and tragedy isn't luck, it's whether you know what to do in those first fragile moments. That knowledge, simple, practical, and life-saving, is what I'm about to share with you. Before we go any further, make sure you subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Your support gives us the motivation to create more powerful videos that could one day save your life or the life of someone you love. Now let me ask you something. If you suddenly felt a crushing weight in your chest while home alone, would you tox or wait to see if it passes, or B, act immediately and call for help? Comment A or B below. I'd love to see your answer. When people picture a heart attack, they often imagine a sudden collapse, an overwhelming pain that leaves no room for doubt. But in reality, most heart attacks do not begin with drama. They begin with whispers, subtle signals so ordinary that many brush them aside. It may be shortness of breath while you are sitting still, a heavy pressure in the chest that comes and goes, or discomfort that feels like indigestion. Some notice an ache spreading into the arm, jaw, or back. Others suddenly feel weak, dizzy, or break out in a cold sweat. For older adults and women, the warning signs are often even more deceptive. Unusual fatigue, stomach pressure, or a feeling of tightness that doesn't seem connected to the heart at all. This is where survival truly begins, not with advanced treatment, but with awareness. Recognizing these quiet signals before they grow louder is your first chance to save your life. Take the example of Richard, a man in his 70s who felt nothing more than a stubborn tightness below his collarbone. He could have laughed it off, but the sensation lingered, and he remembered reading that not all heart attacks start with pain. He reached for his phone and called emergency services. That small decision, simple, almost reluctant, was what gave him another chance at life. Too many others ignore their body's warnings. They convince themselves to wait a little longer to see if the feeling passes, or they fear embarrassment if it turns out to be nothing. But every minute a blocked artery keeps oxygen from the heart, the muscle suffers permanent damage. Waiting is the most dangerous choice of all. That is why the second critical step, once you suspect something is wrong, is immediate action. Do not call a family member first. Do not lie down and hope it fades. And above all, do not drive yourself to the hospital. Symptoms can escalate without warning, and losing consciousness behind the wheel could mean tragedy for you and for others. Instead, call emergency services immediately. Trained responders bring oxygen, medication, and life-saving equipment directly to you. They are your best chance at surviving those first fragile minutes. Linda's story proves this point. At 78, she felt an odd ache in her shoulder, followed by nausea and a cold sweat. Her first thought was to call her son, but she remembered something a nurse once told her. If you might be having a heart attack, call for help first. She did. By the time the ambulance arrived, her symptoms had worsened, but the team stabilized her instantly. Later, she was told that her decision to dial emergency services without hesitation had saved her life. What matters most is not certainty, but action. You do not need to be absolutely sure you are having a heart attack to call for help. Emergency dispatchers would rather respond to a false alarm than arrive too late. If something feels wrong, if it feels unfamiliar, heavy, or frightening, trust it. It is better to act and be mistaken than to wait and lose your only chance. Picture yourself in that quiet moment when discomfort presses in and fear whispers in your mind. Do you ignore it? Or do you act? That choice may determine the rest of your life. Heart attacks are not only about what doctors can do for you, but about what you are willing to do for yourself in those first critical minutes. Recognize the signs, trust your instincts, and make the call. Your survival may depend on it. Once the call for help has been made, your next battle is not with the phone, but with time. Every minute your heart is starved of oxygen, more muscle is lost. Yet in those fragile moments before professional help arrives, there are two simple actions within your control that can shift the outcome in your favor. They may seem small, even ordinary, but together they can protect your heart until help reaches you. The first is aspirin. If you have access to a standard dose, 325 milligrams, do not swallow it whole, chew it. Chewing allows the medicine to be absorbed into your system quickly, thinning the blood and helping to slow or prevent the clot that is blocking your artery. This step is not a cure, but it buys time, and time is the one thing your heart desperately needs. Imagine the difference between an artery that stays fully blocked for 15 minutes versus one that begins to open, even slightly, within a few minutes. That difference is measured in heart muscle saved. It is measured in years of life you still get to live. Joe, a retired teacher in his early 70s, once felt a crushing weight spreading from his chest into his neck while preparing breakfast. His hands shook as he reached into the cabinet for a bottle of aspirin. He chewed the pill slowly, forcing himself to stay calm. Later, his cardiologist told him that single action likely prevented catastrophic damage. It did not stop the attack, but it kept the situation from spiraling into cardiac arrest. That tiny tablet, sitting unnoticed on a kitchen shelf, was the bridge between life and death. The second step is even more deceptively simple. Stop moving, sit or lie down and let your body rest. It is human nature to want to act, to tidy up, to walk toward the door, to distract yourself from fear, but every unnecessary motion demands oxygen your heart cannot spare. Sitting with your back supported, feet steady, and arms relaxed reduces strain on your heart. If dizziness overwhelms you, lying on your side with your head elevated can keep your airway open and your body steady. Do not see stillness as weakness. In this moment, stillness is strength. It is your way of preserving what little energy your heart has left. Alice, at 81, felt pressure building across her chest one afternoon as she stood in her kitchen. Her instinct was to clean up before calling for help. She wanted things in order, as if tidiness could protect her from the chaos unfolding inside her body. But she remembered her doctor's words, "If it feels like your heart, sit down. Everything else can wait." She lowered herself into her favorite chair, breath shallow but steady, and waited for the ambulance. That simple act of surrender, choosing stillness over movement, likely spared her from collapse before help arrived. This is the paradox of a heart attack. Survival does not come from fighting harder, but from conserving, from protecting what is left. Chewing aspirin and finding stillness are not dramatic actions. They will not make headlines or feel heroic, yet they are profoundly powerful because they give your heart the only resource that matters in those minutes' time. If you live alone, preparation can turn these steps into reflexes rather than desperate improvisation. Keep aspirin in places you can reach without effort: your nightstand, your kitchen drawer, even your pocket or wallet. Practice in your mind the act of sitting or lying down at the first sign of distress. The more you prepare, the less panic can take hold, and the quicker you will act when it matters most. When you imagine these moments, you may think survival will require extraordinary strength, but the truth is, what will save you are small, deliberate choices. A pill chewed instead of swallowed, a chair chosen instead of pacing the floor. Each of these actions sends a single message to your body: conserve, protect, endure. In the minutes before trained hands reach you, these are the choices that keep your heart beating long enough for them to do the rest. In the fragile window between the first symptoms and the arrival of medical help, every choice you make matters. Once you have called for help, chewed an aspirin, and stopped moving, the next steps are not about your body, but about your environment and the tools within your reach. These decisions are quiet, practical, and often overlooked, yet they can shave off the very seconds that mean the difference between life and death. One of the simplest yet most powerful things you can do is unlock your door. It may sound trivial when your chest feels heavy and fear is building, but for paramedics racing against the clock, a locked door can cost valuable minutes. They can break in, of course, but breaking down a door takes effort, causes delay, and can even endanger you if you are lying nearby. By unlocking your door, you make it possible for help to flow in, without barrier, without hesitation. Think of Paul, 76, who lived alone in a small apartment. When he felt his chest tighten, he did three things. He called for help, he chewed an aspirin, and he unlocked his front door before sitting back down. Later, paramedics told him that single action allowed them to reach him nearly half a minute faster, and half a minute can be the thin margin that keeps a weakened heart alive. Preparation matters even more if you live alone or in a building that makes access difficult. Consider in advance whether your address is easy to see, whether a neighbor has a spare key, or whether you might benefit from a medical lockbox. A lockbox, secured with a code known to emergency responders, can ensure entry even if you collapse before reaching the door. Smart locks offer another layer of protection, giving trusted family members or neighbors remote access when you cannot move. These are small investments, but when crisis strikes, they transform into lifelines. Equally vital is how you use your phone. It is not just a device for summoning help, it is your lifeline to stay connected while your body falters. The most important step is to switch to speakerphone. Holding the phone tightly to your ear while struggling to breathe can drain you further. But on speaker, your hands are free, your chest is open, and the operator can hear you even if your voice fades. They can pick up on subtle changes in your breathing, the pauses, the effort, the fear between words. Their calm instructions become an anchor in the storm, guiding you to hold steady while waiting. Your phone can also speak for you if you can no longer find your voice. Every modern device has a medical ID feature on iPhones. It can be accessed from the lock screen, and on Androids, it is built into the emergency settings. This digital card holds your vital information: your name, age, medical conditions, medications, allergies, and emergency contacts. It is the information paramedics need immediately when time does not allow for guesswork. Susan, 79, collapsed just moments before responders arrived. Because she had her medical ID set up, they knew instantly she was diabetic and allergic to penicillin. That knowledge kept them from administering a drug that could have worsened her condition and allowed them to treat her safely. Setting up a medical ID takes less than 5 minutes, yet it lasts a lifetime. Too many people delay, thinking they will get around to it later. But later may never come. Imagine the power of knowing that even if you are unconscious, your phone will speak for you, carrying the essential details that protect your life. It is not technology for the young and tech-savvy. It is a shield for anyone who might one day be too weak to explain. These steps, unlocking your door, preparing your home, using your phone wisely, are not dramatic, but they are profoundly human. They are acts of foresight, of taking responsibility for your survival in the moments when chaos threatens to overwhelm you. They do not require strength or skill, only presence of mind and preparation. And when combined with the earlier steps, they form a chain of survival that keeps you connected to the world until help is at your side. In the moments after you have secured your environment and placed yourself in the safest position possible, there is still one powerful tool left to use, one that does not come from a pill bottle or a phone, but from within. It is your breath. When fear rises and panic claws at your chest, your body naturally speeds up. The heart races, the breathing grows shallow, and the spiral of anxiety pushes your already struggling heart closer to collapse. Yet by slowing your breath, by reclaiming control over what feels uncontrollable, you can create a small island of calm that helps your heart endure until help arrives. It may sound too simple to matter, but science and experience prove otherwise. Controlled breathing influences the nervous system, signaling the body to slow down instead of spiraling into alarm. By inhaling deeply through the nose, holding for a steady moment, and exhaling longer than you inhale, you send a message to your heart that it does not need to panic. This is not about curing the attack, it is about buying time, lowering stress, and keeping your body from tipping into dangerous rhythms. It is about preserving just enough stability to stay alive until trained hands take over. Frank, at 83, understood this truth in the most terrifying moment of his life. When the pressure hit him, his first instinct was pure fear. He described it later as though the room had closed in and every breath was a battle. But he remembered a simple exercise his doctor had taught him. Breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 1, release for 6. He clung to that rhythm, forcing himself to focus on numbers instead of dread. By the time the paramedics reached him, his condition was still critical, but he had avoided sliding into cardiac arrest. His words afterward carried weight. Staying calm kept me alive long enough for them to save me. Breathing in this way also gives you something else: control. A heart attack can feel like the cruelest kind of helplessness, your own body betraying you without warning. But when you focus on your breath, you reclaim authority over one small but vital part of yourself. Each inhale and exhale becomes proof that you are still here, still present, still fighting. In a moment defined by chaos, this sense of control can be the thread that holds you steady. This practice is not only for emergencies. Training yourself to slow your breathing during ordinary moments when you feel anxious, when you cannot sleep, even while watching television builds a habit that becomes second nature when crisis strikes. Think of it as rehearsing for calm. When the body learns to associate stress with steady breath, it will instinctively return to that rhythm, even when fear is loudest. That preparation means that when the unthinkable happens, you will already have a tool waiting inside you, familiar and reliable. And so, as we close this journey through the steps of surviving a heart attack alone, the lesson is clear. Survival is not only about what doctors do in sterile hospital rooms, nor only about the medicines or machines at their disposal. It is also about what you do in the silent minutes before they arrive, the awareness you build, the actions you take, and the calm you manage to hold. Recognizing the signs, calling for help, protecting your heart with aspirin and stillness, preparing your environment, and finally, steadying yourself with breath. Each step alone is important, but together they form a chain stronger than fear. These steps whisper the same truth. Even when you are alone, you are not powerless. You are not a victim waiting for fate to decide. You are an active participant in your survival. And perhaps the most powerful reminder of all is this: in the end, life is not saved by panic or despair, but by preparation and courage. When the heart falters, your choices, quiet, deliberate, and human, are what keep it beating until help arrives.